Britain has legalized same-sex marriage, which is awesome. Queen Elizabeth II has signed the piece of legislation. She has approved it, which of course is a formality, which I love. But this shows that there is a growing acceptance toward the gay community, not just in the United States, but in other countries. In fact, when I hear stories like this, it makes me reflect on what's happening in the US and how we should really push for a federal law that legalizes same-sex marriage instead of leaving it up to the states, but that's just me. Now, Britain, of course, is not the first country to legalize same-sex marriage. There have been a number of European countries that have done it. In fact, back in 2000, the Netherlands, that's where same-sex marriage was legalized first. In 2003, it was Belgium. 2005, it was Spain and Canada. 2006, South Africa. 2009, Norway and Sweden. In 2010, it was Portugal, Iceland, Argentina. 2011, Denmark. And in 2013, big year, there's France, England, Wales, Britain, Uruguay, and New Zealand.
Uruguay. All right, that's fantastic. Man, Netherlands leading the way. God bless them. That's terrific.
Now, I should note that in every one of these countries, there are some exceptions to the rule. It's not like, all right, go, all gay people can get married. For instance, in some countries, gay adoption is not legal yet, so that's a little bit of a problem. In some countries, they will say that, all right, well, a civil official doesn't necessarily have to marry you if he or she doesn't want to.
So there might be some exceptions within the rule, and even though you might have gay marriage, you don't have full gay rights.
Exactly.
And I like the idea of the Queen coming down and saying, gay people, go. You have full rights. Okay.
But this is such great news. Like, I get really excited about this. And today on The Point, which you guys can watch on youtube.com/townsquare, we were having this discussion about race relations in the country versus gay rights. And you're seeing like so much progress with gay rights. And of course, at some point in the country, we had great progress when it came to race relations. But with race relations now, we're kind of at a standstill. Whereas with gay rights, we continue to see progress. And why is that? It's because we like to self-segregate. Let's keep it real. Everyone likes to hang out with people that looks like them. So you don't have to really deal with those issues. But when it comes to sexuality, people around us have different sexualities. You see what I'm saying?
That's really interesting, actually.
So you're kind of forced to think about it, and you're forced to be more tolerant because you're like, but that's my best friend, and it turns out that my best friend is gay.
Or my daughter or my son.
Exactly.
If you're black, you can't have a white kid. If you're white, you can't have a black kid unless you adopt, of course.
Exactly.
But anybody can have a gay son or daughter. So it's fascinating as to how those dynamics play out. Now, as we have good news throughout the world, and the U.S., of course, has not caught up to all those countries yet. Some states have, but we haven't as a country. We also have some bad news to give you a sense that this issue is by no means resolved. I mean, we might be making some progress, but we also take steps backwards.
There was a journalist and a gay rights activist in Cameroon. His name was Eric Lembembe. And he was very well known within the gay community in Cameroon because he was a very outspoken critic of those who would condemn gay people. And very, very sad story. He was found dead over the weekend in his own bed. His friend who found him said that his neck and his feet were broken and that he had been burned with an iron. So he was basically tortured to death. And it shows you that, while you might see great strides in some countries, we still have a long way to go in others.
So he had been warning people, hey, look, anti-gay thugs are coming here and harassing us. And I don't know if the authorities didn't take him seriously or they turned a blind eye, but the manner in which he was killed is so horrific. So if you hear people saying like, oh, what are they complaining about? They all have rights anyway, which is something you always hear in the US, whether it's about race relations or gay rights, etc. And you look at throughout the world, the issue of hatred against gays is nowhere near resolved. We still have a huge fight ahead in different parts of the world, whether it's the extreme example in Cameroon or some of our own states here in America who still will not acknowledge significant portion of gay rights and saying no, that we need. And by the way, some of our own evangelicals, also from those states, going to places like Uganda and pushing forward laws that say that if you commit homosexual acts, you should be killed. Now, they didn't do this. Okay, this was vigilante people who did this, right? But for them to push for legal rules in Uganda saying that people should be killed for being gay is beyond sick. And it's not just people in Uganda, it's Christian Right in America that are also helping them to do that. So there's a lot of progress still to be made, whether it's abroad or at home.